Morning, everyone. It's Sal, Stretford Post. How you doing? And welcome to another episode of Breaking Dawn. I hope you're doing good. I hope you're doing fine. Thank you so much for joining me this morning, guys. I really appreciate you guys. Before I start, please don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Don't forget to smash a like on the video, guys. All that jazz will be absolutely lovely before we start. Thank you so much, you absolute legends, guys. It's Friday again. We're loving it. It's Friday. We are playing this weekend. Can you believe it? We're playing this weekend. Not quite on a Saturday, but on a Sunday this time. Why don't we play on Saturdays anymore? That's what I want to know. Why don't we play on Saturdays anymore? It's getting a bit of a joke, isn't it, guys? Absolutely. But yeah, welcome, everyone. I hope you're all doing well. And yeah, we just have to look forward to Sunday then, don't we, guys? Absolutely. Let's get into some news about Man United. Obviously, you may have heard that Man United have been linked to Roberto Martinez, the manager of Portugal, of course, guys, formerly manager of Belgium, formerly manager of Everton, formerly manager of Wigan and Swansea. Roberto Martinez. Now, obviously, Roberto Martinez is a name that has been thrown around quite often when it comes to Man United managers. I remember before Eric Ten Hag, we were talking about Roberto Martinez. Now, there's something about Roberto Martinez. I can't quite put my finger on it, but I just find him a little bit irritating. Look, guys, this is just me, right? I'm just saying that I just find him a little bit irritating and, and very, very sure of himself. I watched the overlap and, when I see Roberto Martinez talks, he talks like he's won, endless trophies, Champions Leagues, and that the guy's won the Nations League, for crying out loud. Who cares about the Nations bloody League? Nobody cares about the Nations League, of course. But, what I would say is that, would I want him ahead of like Gareth Southgate? Of course I want him ahead of Gareth Southgate. You know what I mean? But at the end of the day, as I said, there's only a couple of managers that I would give the job to instead of Michael Carrick, and one of those managers is Nagelsmann. Another of those managers is Luis Enrique. Those are the managers that I would give the job to rather than Michael Carrick. If Luis Enrique was available, I would get Luis Enrique regardless, all right? Because at the end of the day, we have to look at things objectively and we have to look at things critically in regards to what's going on at the moment. Man United are not playing well. We were very lucky against Everton. It was a poor performance and we got lucky, guys, absolutely. And we've been lucky 3 times in a row now, to be fair. And what I would say is that, yes, if there's only Roberto Martinez available, if there's only, a couple managers of that ilk available, I just think keep Carrick, because at the end of the day, Roberto Martinez is not a serial winner. He took charge of the best Belgium team in history, probably. He's in charge of probably one of the best Portugal teams as well. So when you look at his win ratio, Swansea has a 50% win ratio, 125 games. He won the League One championship in 2007-8. But that is obviously, most of that was played in League One. Most of that was played in the championship. With Wigan, it's far less. It's a 29% win ratio. He won the FA Cup, though, which is probably his biggest achievement, in my opinion, winning the FA Cup with Wigan. But then again, you can look at Harry Redknapp winning the FA Cup with Portsmouth, can't you? You can compare it to that. These things happen. Teams can win FA Cups. It can happen. Crystal Palace won it last year. Do you know what I mean? When we're looking at Everton, he got a 42% win ratio, 143 games. Guys, it's fairly Everton-ish, isn't it? It's about right with Everton. Guys, 42%. Not mention that Wigan, he had 175 games, he had a 29% win ratio. But it is Wigan Athletic, I've given the benefit of doubt with that. With Belgium, he had a 70% win ratio. Now, with Belgium, he came 3rd place in the World Cup. Probably, look, guys, I'll be honest with you guys. I think probably the most overrated team in history of international football is that Belgium team. I'll just say that like this, right? They had a few good players. Other than that, they were not as highly ranked in my book as people were ranking them. I think they were a good team, but I do think that Belgium team were a little bit overrated. I'll be honest with you guys. I saw them get knocked out by Wales. They beat England in 2018, but that's Gareth Southgate, isn't it, at the end of the day? Gareth Southgate was one of those guys, who couldn't beat a big team. That's the problem with Gareth Southgate at the end of the day. But he had a 70% win record, 80 games for Belgium. So 3rd place at the World Cup, it's not bad. It's not bad. It's not bad, all right? 3rd place at the World Cup isn't bad, but didn't win anything with that Belgium team in the Euros or anything. Now, in regards to Portugal, he's got a 69% win ratio so far, 36 games, right? Again, That's not amazing considering the teams that Portugal are playing. You know, you look at the qualifiers for the World Cup and and the Nations League and stuff like that. He has won the Nations League. 24-25, he won the Nations League. Fair play, won the Nations League. But what I would say is that, as I said at the beginning of the show, I don't really rate the Nations League, if I'm being fair. I don't rate the Nations League. I think the Nations League is a pointless competition, in my opinion. But anyway, he's got 69%, 36 games with Portugal, guys, absolutely. But yeah, look, you know, for me, it's just not somebody that screams out for me, yeah, he should get the job. It doesn't scream to me this. It doesn't give me that, you know, he's the guy. You know, the only, as I said, the only managers that give me that vibe is Nagelsmann, maybe a Tuchel, and maybe a Luis Enrique. The one that I would absolutely give the job to is Luis Enrique. Absolutely give the job to him. 100%. He's the only one that I would, you know what, even no matter what Carrick does for me, I'm giving Luis Enrique the job because he's the only one. If Carrick gets Champions League, he's going to buy himself a season for me. And I don't think we should be signing any long-term deals. I don't think anything like that. I still think we should go through the process of interviewing managers, looking at managers around the world, and then obviously offer it to the best candidate. I still think we should do that because that's how we should do things at Manchester United. At the moment, I am seeing characteristics of the team. Basically, the team are playing very counter-attack. It's becoming very Ole-esque, right? And one thing about Ole is that he had Michael Carrick next to him, didn't he? He had Michael Carrick by his side. And I don't want us to go down that road, okay? I don't want us to make a big, massive, expensive mistake again. Of course I don't. We've seen this with Ole. We've seen the new manager bounce. We've seen all this. So it's very important that we look at things critically and not just get happy. Like we're talking about Danny Welbeck coming to Man United yesterday. This is the problem with some of our Man United fan base. We're too excited by things. We get too excited. Some may say we're immature, you know, and I've heard that before. We're very immature and we get too giddy. We get too excited. We're meant to be the Real Madrid, the Bayern Munich, the Barcelona of England. That's what we're meant to be. We're the pioneers of European football in England. We are the ones who put the Premier League on the map. We are the proper team of England. Do you know what I mean? I would say. And to be honest with you, I am seeing a lot of softies. You know what I mean? And people getting a little bit overly excited. You know, fair play. Look, it's nothing wrong in being overly excited, but I'm definitely not going to get overly excited. I'm definitely going to be critical because being critical is what brings you long-term success. Being critical is what gives you long-term sustainability. And that is what it's all about, because at the end of the day, we're not critical about our team. If we don't look at the games for what they are, and you look at Everton, and just like when we talk about Everton game, we played poorly, and people, oh, but we won. It was an excellent result. When Tottenham won their 3-0 and Newcastle United won their 4-1. You know what I mean? So I would like to just look at things critically. We're going to beat Crystal Palace. We should beat Crystal Palace at the weekend. The games that I'm looking at are Chelsea, Newcastle, of course, difficult games. Villa at home is another game. Of course, it's going to be a difficult game. These games are very, very winnable. But we also have to take into account every single element of context that comes into this game in football, guys, because at the end of the day, if we don't, then we're going to end up being very, very disappointed, guys. And that's what happens in football. Now, guys, let's get on with it. Of course, it's just rumors at the moment in regards to what's going to happen. We don't even know what's going to happen until the end of the season, whether we qualify for the Champions League or not at the moment. This is what we're talking about at the end of the day, guys. Nobody knows if we're going to qualify for the Champions League. It's looking like a good possibility that we are going to qualify for the Champions League. Well, we were only 3 points from Champions League position when Ruben Amorim left the football club, of course, guys. And obviously the AFCON happened, you know, and stuff like that. So what I would say is that we'll have to wait until the end of the season. I'm pretty sure that there's going to be lots of oohs and ahs and twists and turns in regards to this managerial situation. What I don't want is that us taking our time with it. I don't want us taking our time. Take your time with it. Your time with it. I don't want us doing any of that. No. I want us to hurry up and get the managerial situation sorted out as soon as possible, because Man United have got a lot of rebuilding to do. You know what I mean? You know, we got a lot of rebuilding to do. We're just derelict at the moment, guys. And, you know, we got the World Cup going on as well, of course. And Man United are going to have a lot of players that are going to be leaving the football club. we need a lot of players to come into the football club as well. And we don't want to be spending most of the time looking at the managerial situation and analysing the managerial situation and stuff like that, if you know what I mean. I do want us to be quick off the mark, and get going, and let's get this managerial situation sorted out. Now, talking about some transfer news, guys, I want to talk about a few players that may not be mentioned on the mainstream yet. Guys, one of the players' names is Ibrahim Maza. Ibrahim Maza is a 20-year-old Bayer Leverkusen player who currently plays for Algeria. Well, plays for Algeria, of course. Will always play for Algeria. 13 caps for Algeria, 2 goals. Ibrahim Maza, valued at around 25 million. Good price, affordable. Can play attacking midfielder, centre midfielder, and centre forward. He's a product from Hertha Berlin. Currently playing for Leverkusen, of course. Very, very good player. I noticed him during the AFCON, and lo and behold, there is Manchester United scouting Ibrahim Maza. 20 years old, perfect age for a Manchester United player. Only 25 million. Of course, that is the starting fee. It will go up to about 40, probably around that mark. But he's a player that impressed me during the AFCON, to be fair. He was very good, to be fair. And I think that this kind of signing will be absolutely brilliant, because you know what? You save money, and he's got the ability as well. And he's got experience as well, playing in the Bundesliga, playing internationally. 13 caps for Algeria, 2 goals. So he is a capable player, and he's a player that I've earmarked for a while now, and I'm glad that we are starting looking at him. Now, secondly, another Algeria international, guys, Faris Chaibi. Now, of course, when we were watching the AFCON, there were many in this community, in fact, are talking about Faris Chaibi. Faris Chaibi is a 23-year-old attacking midfielder, centre midfielder, and a left winger. So you get the gist here. We're looking at the left centre midfielder, attacking midfielder. So he can play in those number of positions. Got 27 caps for Algeria, 3 goals. Currently playing for Eintracht Frankfurt, valued at 15 million euros, guys. So that is the key here, guys. 15 million euros for Faris Chaibi, and he's a very, very talented player. The former Toulouse player would love a move to the Premier League, according to reports, and he is a very, very attractive proposition to Manchester United, considering that he's only 15 million, and that's what I would say. Considering he's only 15 million, I think it'll be a very attractive proposition for Manchester United to do this deal. Absolutely, guys. But yeah, 15 million, Faris Chaibi and Ibrahim Maza, 2 Algerian internationals Man United are looking at the moment, which, well, you know what? This is what we should do. There are players out there of certain talent that we can find of a more affordable price. You know what I mean? And look, I'm not saying that we're not going to turn around and say, let's go and sign. No, we're not going to sign Anderson. We're not going to sign Stiller. Guys, I'm not going to say that. We should still sign those players. But these players that I'm mentioning are players that could be very good for the squad, if you know what I mean. Very good for the squad. Ibrahim Maza, you know what? He's a very good player, very quick, very skillful, very technical. Faris Chaibi reminds me of Riyad Mahrez. Very good, crossing the ball, things like that. Do you know what I mean? So I would say that, yes, we can get these players, but we also need to get the Andersons of this world, the Whartons of this world, the Stillers of this world as well. And I think that will be good for Manchester United, for the squad, because obviously we're going to be in the Champions League most likely. Of course, guys, absolutely. Let me know what you're thinking, guys. I hope you're all doing well. Welcome to the stream, guys. Smash a like on the way in, you absolute legends. Thank you so much, guys. Let me just read through some of your comments, of course, guys. Absolutely, of course, guys. Big up, everyone. Let me just say good morning, Sanjay. Hope you're doing well. Good morning, Ephraim. How you doing? Good morning, Den. Hope you're doing well, mate. Hope everything is blessed with you. Good morning, Benny. Hope you're doing well. Good to see you, mate. Absolutely good to see you. Good morning, Tybo. How you doing, my friend? Hope you're doing well. I say for weeks now that the things are looking good, but let's see what happens soon after we lose the first game. The reaction to that will show us where we are. Yeah, look, adversity, you learn more about adversity than you do about success. Everyone who is looking at things in a non-biased point of view, and I've spoken to various rival fans as well on various other channels, they even say that Man United have been lucky. Yeah, but luck is part of the game. Absolutely is part of the game, but it's not solely reliant on luck, as long as you're not solely reliant on your luck. But you're absolutely right, Tyborg. You're absolutely right. When we lose a game, how are we going to bounce back? Because we know under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, when we started losing, we went on that downward spiral, didn't we? We went on that bad run. We went on this brilliant run, was it 8 games, 1 in a row, broke records and all sorts. When we lost, I think it was actually when Ole Gunnar Solskjaer signed his contract. And this is one of my biggest worries, because if Michael Carrick signs that contract, I'm very worried that some of these players are going to down tool. I'm very worried. There's no coincidence that you can tell the certain characteristics about the Man United players in regards to like Luke Shaw and players of that ilk. Why all of a sudden they're fit every single game, all of a sudden, miraculously before the World Cup. This just goes to show you, their mentality. Do they really care about the football club and blah, blah, blah. It's not so much the managers. It's not always about the manager. It's about the players. And this, it's not just about performing as well. It's also about analyzing characteristics and analyzing the team in regards to the way they're playing. Look, guys, Everton, we won the game. We won the game against Fulham. We drew the game against West Ham. These last 3 games have been a little bit sus for me. And, I want to see against Crystal Palace a win, right? I don't care if we win, scam it. I don't care, honestly. But I am going to analyze the game in the right way and the way we're playing and stuff like that. Yes, this is the business end of the season. I understand that. We need to get results and stuff like that. But we can't discount that we have been lucky the last 3 games. And there's only so far you can go with luck. You have luck in doses. You can have luck in certain games, like Man United when we won the treble. We had a lot of luck, but we played good football too. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, you have to play an element of good football. What I want to see, like, for example, against West Ham, and that's my benchmark for what my critique comes from, is that we had 1 shot on target in 80 minutes. And I think, like, if you get lucky and you equalize in the last minute, that's fine. That can happen. That's great, right? But it shows character. But one thing is, when Man United used to score last-minute goals, we did actually have more than 1 shot after 80 minutes. And, you have to show that this isn't a big team here. This is West Ham. You have to show that you're intent. You have to show that you're good, at attacking and pressing and stuff. And at the end of the game, you're going to say to yourself, well, even if we didn't win, even if we lost, you say, well, we should, another day we would have won that 4 or 5. We just hit the crossbar, hit the post, going on and on. But if we lost that game against West Ham, we could have lost it 2-0 with Wilson. We would have said that was very disappointing. We did nothing, and that is the biggest problem for me. However, as I said, when Ruben Amorim walked out the door, I did say that I'm going to give Carrick a chance. I'm giving Carrick a chance, but I did say that I'm going to call the game as it is. That's what I'm going to do. I'm not going to call it on the basis that, personal feelings or emotions around it because it's Michael Carrick and stuff like that. I'm going to call it as it is. And obviously, I want Man United to be a title challenger next season. I've actually gone on other channels, even, and said Man United are going to challenge for the league. I've actually put bets on with people saying that Man United are going to challenge for the league next season. By March we'll be in a title challenge. So that shows my confidence. At the end of the day, but I will call it and I will be critiqued, of course. Big up, Tybo. Simple answer to Martinez, as we say here in Ireland. Yeah, gland, which means thanks, but no thanks. Big up, Benny. Hopefully I don't hear that from you. Thanks, but no thanks. Big up yourself. Hope you're doing, Benny. Big Ireland, my guys over there in Ireland. Love Ireland, man. Big people, man. Big personalities. Love it. So, is Martinez back from injury for Palace game? No, not at all. I think he might be on the bench if we're lucky, to be honest with you. I think it will remain with Euro and Maguire. I may be wrong, but this is what I'm hearing. Good morning, Stephanie. How you doing, my friend? Hope you do well. Good to see you. Good to see you. As we know, this board won't back the manager properly. They'll promise everything and give nothing. Exactly that. This is a big part of it, Benny. No matter what manager you bring into this football club, and they need to be back to the level that it's sufficient for Man United to get to challenge. And this is the repetitive cycle that we keep going in. Bringing in new managers, not backing them to the level that they should be backed, no matter what style of football they play, rah. And it's getting repetitively boring, and to be honest with you. And I just hope if they do give Michael Carrick the job, they don't think of Carrick as, oh, he's one of us. He's going to accept 2 players. He'll take a couple of players and he'll be all right with that. Give him a couple of players. He'll be all right with that. Well, you know what I mean? Because it's Michael Carrick. If they give Michael Carrick the job, I want them to back him like they were backing Luis Enrique, like they're backing Nagelsmann, like they're going to back Tuchel. I want them to back him exactly like they were back then, because I know that what they're going to look at, they're going to look at him as like, you know what, he's one of our mates. You know what I mean? Like, them sort of things. And yeah, that is a little bit why. Big up, Stephanie. Big up, guys. Absolutely. Hope you're doing well. Guys, absolutely. Good morning, fan. Alexander, how are you doing? Sal, a legend passed away yesterday, and an ardent supporter, and my heroine, my mother, who supported and loved watching me as a child. She bought me first football boots. Big up, my friend. Sorry to hear that, brother. Really sorry to hear that. Commiserations, and you know what? May God bless you, my friend. You know, I really sorry to hear that. I am really sorry to that. A legend fan, of course, of the Stretford Post community. Show your support to fan peeps. Absolute legend, of course, of Stretford Post. You absolute diamond, mate. And, you know, I'm here for you, mate. If you need anything, let me know, my friend. I'm here for you, my friend. And, you know what, anytime, just DM me on Twitter. You know what I mean? We'll have a chat. Big up, fan. Hope you're well, brother. And hope you, I wish her nothing but love and prosperity in the afterlife, inshallah. You know what I mean? That's what I would say. Sorry to hear that, fan. Hungary beat England in England in the Nations League. This to me, that the big teams don't take that competition. They don't take the competition seriously. Hungary beat England 4-0 or something like that, wasn't it? Nobody takes that competition seriously. Nobody. I know. Look, Martinez is incredibly egotistical. The way he talks is very, you know what I mean. He talks a good game, but he's got no substance about him. He doesn't do it for me. You know, as I said, there's only a couple of managers that I would like instead of Carrick, and managers that you can't say no to. You know, one of them is Klopp, which he'll never come to Man United anyway. Another one, Luis Enrique, Nagelsmann, Tuchel. Tuchel, I'll probably say no to. Nagelsmann, I don't know, because the problem with Nagelsmann, he does give me a lot of resemblances to Erik ten Hag. I don't know why, but it just fills me with Erik ten Hag vibes. Benny, morning, Steve. Big up everyone, of course. Big up everyone. So sometimes the unknown players turn out to be one of the best players. It's not all about the big money players. No, it's not. If you look at the history of Man United and you look at some of our best players that ever played for this football club, some of them have been, I would actually say the majority of them have been unknown players. You know what I mean? And you can even say Cristiano Ronaldo in that bracket when he signed for Man United. Wasn't he relatively unknown around the world? Yeah, he was talented, and there were a few clubs that were earmarking, signing him and stuff like that, wasn't he? Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, Ronnie Johnson, Henenberg, Peter Schmeichel, these type of players, do you know what I mean? They were relatively unknown. In fact, they were very unknown. I mean, I would call you a liar if you knew who Ronnie Johnson was, or you knew who Henenberg was, or, you know, I mean, these kind of players, you know, I don't think many did know who these players were. I don't think many knew who Dennis Irwin was before he signed for Manchester United. Of course, it's not all about spending the big bucks. It is all about bringing in the right player with the right character. Absolutely. Spot on. Chaibi's a good player, good free to kick take, but I'm not sure he's good enough for United. He's good this season, but it was completely gone missing last season. 50 minutes worth the risk. It is worth. And I'm not talking about a player that's going to walk in. I watched him in the AFCON. It was fantastic. I don't know if you watched the AFCON. It was fantastic. And, you know, you have to analyze it in regards to not just because he's playing for Frankfurt. You got to analyze it. If he was playing in a better side, what would he be like? You know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, it is a little bit unfair to analyze players who play for smaller sides, for sides that, you know, don't have good players all around the pitch. However, I would say that Frankfurt are impressing me, you know, by the way. And the reason I like Frankfurt, and not just because of you, Tyberg, I like Frankfurt because, you know, they seem to find gems. They seem to find, not like Nathaniel Brown, for example, these unknown quantities that, you know, are really good, but unknown, you know, and this is something that Man United don't do. This is something that I'm a little bit concerned about Man United not doing, finding these players like Frankfurt find these players, like Ekatike, for example. Do you know what I mean? These kind of players that Frankfurt seem to find, you know, but just like Leverkusen as well. Leverkusen, the same thing, exactly the same thing. Bayer Leverkusen, of course, you know, and stuff like that. Of course, when we look at Chaibi, Maza plays for Leverkusen, and Leverkusen another one who do the same thing. And they find these players, these gems that out of nowhere. Do you know what I mean? I know that they have to negotiate, they have to, because the money is not as big, so they have to find these players, and sometimes that's a good thing. And I think when Man United were signing these unknown players, relatively unknown players, they were doing much better than some of the big players that signed for Man United for lots of money, of course. I think Newcastle game will be a tough. They always show up at St James's Park. But yeah, look, I think the Chelsea game will as well, because we haven't beaten Chelsea in 6-7 years at Stamford Bridge. I think the only time we beat them was the League Cup with the free kick from Rashford, if I remember. In regards to Newcastle United, we haven't beaten them since Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. We haven't beaten them there. They always raise their game against Manchester United, and we seem to fold at St James's Park recently for some weird reason. I know it's a very atmospheric ground and stuff like that, but, we should be doing a lot better than these type of teams. There's a lot of games to be negotiated, of course. Guys, look, listen, I'm one of the most positive people you can ever find, right? I've been on channels and said we're going to be undefeated to the end of the season. I've gone on channels when we were 14 games left in the season saying we're going to win 13 out of 14. Still on, by the way. I know we drew against West Ham, but we might win the next 11, 12, you know what I mean? So, yeah, look, at the end of the day, Man United need to change these narratives. The problem I'm having is, obviously, I do look at the team, and I look at the team with the fitness level. I do look at the rumors that we're training less. I do look at the fact that we're coming in late for training. That doesn't fill me with confidence. Of course it does, because at the end of the day, you do less, you're not going to be as good, especially if you're playing one game a week. You're not going to be as good. I mean, who says that? It's like going to the gym, twice or going to the gym 4 times a week. What's better? You know what I mean? At the end of the day, and I do think that discipline was one of the biggest problems in this Man United team, this squad. And if we reduce the discipline again, we are going to go down the Ole Gunnar Solskjaer route again. And I don't want that to happen, definitely, of course. Bigger LT, hope you're doing well. Good to see you. Hope everything is blessed with you, of course. Greetings, Vino. How you doing, my friend? Hope you're doing well. Big up. Sal, what do you think of the next manager need to be successful? Sal, what do you think the next manager need to do to be successful? One of the biggest things is don't show favoritism, adapt. And what I would say is that, yeah, simple as that. Don't show favoritism and adapt. That's it. And pick the right team, pick the right players based on how they're performing. I'm pretty certain that we would have beaten West Ham if we played Sesko from the start and Bremer on the right. I'm pretty certain we would have beaten Everton anyway if we started Sesko and played in Bremer on the right. I really do think that. So and probably 2-3-0. So I think that we have to, as a new manager comes in, they have to pick the team based on the way they're performing, not just based on your favorites. I'm looking at the team now. Why does Luke Shaw continue to play the left back? He offers nothing. Nus Mazrouri obviously played there for Morocco during the AFCON and played phenomenally well. He could play in the left back position, so why not put him in there? Because at the moment, I'm looking at Luke Shaw and he's not offering nothing on a left-sided position in regards to overlapping runs, crossing, and stuff like that. So I don't know why he continues to be picked. And that sort of thing concerns me. Of course it does. The fact that, we're completely neglecting Aiden Heaven, that worries me. And we're, and just continually playing the same players over and over and over again. Now, obviously against Crystal Palace, now he has to change it. It's pretty evident he has to change it. He has to, because there's a difference between, playing a winning team or sustaining something, you know what I mean, at the end of the day. Because at the end of the day, it seems like it's sustaining something. We weren't good against Everton. When Sesko came on, we were better and we were more of a threat. And when Bremer moved to the right. And this is the difference. We are better like that. So start like that. And that's what it is. I've always said as well, for football, you need that number 9 up front. You need that focal point. You need the focal point up front. You do, and what it shows me when a manager changes his team, it shows me character. It shows me confidence. It shows me guts, resilience. It shows me a lot of things, and I would say that if he does start with Sesko and Bremo, fair play at the weekend, because he should. Obviously, Crystal Palace have had quite a good record against Man United in recent times at Old Trafford, of course. We need to put an end to that, because when I was growing up, it was an easy win. Big up, fam. My prayers and thoughts of you, brother. Absolutely all day long. Absolutely. Big up the community, of course. Big up, Sal. I'm also happy for the results and that we are slow to go and Championship football. But to be honest, I'm not convinced Carrick should get the job because there's things in the last few games that worry me. LT, you know, me and you, we think on the same page. You know, me and Mark Goldbridge, we think on the same page. Mark Goldbridge is talking like me. You know what I mean? And you know, the problem with a lot of the United fan base is that when you start bringing in home truths and you start analysing things properly, intelligently, and not like a child, you know, people get upset and say you're negative. No, we are more positive in the long run than they are, because at the end of the day, we want standards, we want high standards, and we want Man United to. We're getting old now. We want Man United to challenge for league titles, and we want Man United to challenge for Champions Leagues. At the end of the day, we can see certain characteristics in the side that are worry, and they should worry you. Of course, they should worry you. You know, yeah, we're getting the results. Got the results under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. Probably would have got the results under other managers as well. It doesn't. At the end of the day, it's so predictable. These players are predictable. I would say that, and you know, I hope and pray Carrick is the Messiah. I hope and pray Carrick is the new Alex Ferguson. I hope so. It will be amazing. You know what I mean? But at the end of the day, we have to analyze the game, how the game is went, how the game was played. You know, at the end of the day, you know, and look, if we go out and win the next 11 out of 11, if we win 11 out of 11, then you can't say nothing. We have to give Carrick gets the job. Absolutely. If Carrick gets in the top 3, he's probably going to get the job. He's probably getting it by hook or by crook, even if we don't play well. If he gets in the top 3, I have no doubt in my mind they will give him the job, because there's a couple of things there. He's not going to ask for much, and he's going to be cheap and easy. You know, and that's the thing about it, you know. And if he gets Champions League, I'm going to support him with everything. As you know, I always support the manager. I will support him with everything. And looking at next season, because this, like, when you're looking at this half of the season, it's like a little mini test, isn't it? It's like a audition, isn't it, for Michael Carrick? And what do you do in auditions? You think critically, right? When you're looking at an audition, you think critically. When you give them the part in whatever, a play or a film, right? You support them, right? And that's what happens with me. This is an audition for Carrick. So I'm going to be thinking critically. I'm going to be looking at the game, you know, fairly. I'm not going to be overly zealous. I'm not going to be overly confident. Yes, I'm always going to say Man United are going to come in the Champions League. Man United are going to come top. But I always have that positive outlook. I've always had that. But at the end of the day, whilst games are going on and whilst games are finished, I will call the game as it is, you know. And, you know, a lot of these people who say you're negative now are just Ineos bootlickers, because at the end of the day, they're the same people who say, you know, oh, we had an 8 out of 10 transfer window, Ruben Amorim. Do you know what I mean? Guys, we will be lucky to get a 4 out of 10 transfer window this summer. And Michael Carrick will be thrown in the walls. And then what's going to happen? You know what I mean? At the end of the day. So, look, there's a lot of things I'm worried about. There's a lot of things I want to analyze and I want to see. I want to see more. It is early days. Of course it is. You can't expect miracles straight away. But one thing is, right, is that we were always playing good football, right? We just couldn't put the ball in the back of the net. You know, we created the most big chances. There was a time when we actually scored the most goals, to be fair. You know, and there's nothing much changed for me. You know, we beaten Arsenal away before. We beaten Man City away before. You know, at the end of the day, so there we are. Big up, Nikki. What's going on? End of the night shift. Near the end of the night shift. Big up, my friend. Guys, big up. Chaibi, I don't think Nagelsmann is the good solution simply because he do not do a Ragnick in the short time. He is the same mentality, and the venture would be a short term, I feel. Meaning that he's the right guy for Man United, but he's not going to fit the ownership. You know what I mean? At the end of the day. You know, I have no problem with people being like Ralph Ragnick. I have no problem with that. I think Ralph Ragnick was absolutely spot on. The truth hurts, doesn't it? At the end of the day. And if Nagelsmann calls out the board, if Nagelsmann came in, you know, then it would be good for Man United. I think we need that kind of character. What we don't need is people crying about certain things. You know, people like the ownership, the board, crying about what they say when they're telling the truth. Ruben Amorim told the truth. Ragnick told the truth. Jose Mourinho told the truth. You know, so at the end of the day, maybe they are the problem. Maybe the board is the problem. Maybe Nagelsmann is the right manager. You know, but at the end of the day, we shouldn't just say we're not going to employ a Nagelsmann because, you know what, the board won't be happy if they get called out. They should be called out. You know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, if we go down that logic, we're relying on the Glazers and Ineos to bring us success. We're relying on their word being the gospel. We're relying on that. So at the end of the day, if the manager is good enough and he's outspoken, so be it. If he's good enough to bring us to the promised land, I'm happy with that. I don't care what Will Wilcox or Vavell or Barada or Jim Ratcliffe or the Glazers do at the end of the day. Because at the end of the day, they shouldn't even be at our football club. You know, it should be Qatar in our football club, and that's what it should be, you know? Absolutely. Stephanie, I don't think much teams fear going to Chelsea these days because of a young team they have. Like, yeah, well, we seem to do badly there recently. In 7 years, we have been done bad. Big up, Bobby. How you doing, my friend? Tybo. Frankfurt is a proper traditional team, and Leverkusen is this only because of the medicament company by a third most hated team in Germany after Leipzig and Hoffenheim. There you go. Learn something new every day. Look. When I think about Leverkusen, one of the things that sticks in my head was the Champions League semi-final tie book. You know, I mean, I remember that game, and I remember Ole Gunnar Solskjaer missing that magnificent chance. I don't know if you remember it. He missed a magnificent chance against Bayer. It's when Berbatov was playing for Bayer, wasn't it? And I remember it very, very well. And you know, and it really irritates me because there's a number of games in the Champions League that we didn't do ourselves justice. And I felt like Alex Ferguson should have won more than 2 Champions Leagues in 26 years. But what I would say is that Bayer Leverkusen was one of the most disappointing results I've ever witnessed. You know, wasn't it 2-2 at home and 1-1 away? I think we took the lead. Roy Keane scored, if I'm not wrong, and then they equalized. And I think we pounded their goal, but we didn't get the winning goal. And it was like, yeah, so I don't like Bayer Leverkusen because of that. There you go. That's my reason for it. Absolutely. We'll be in the Champions League next season, but I'm pretty worried we might not have a good enough manager, and Ineos won't build big enough squad to compete in the multiple competitions if enough deadwood will be removed. Absolutely. Guys, absolutely. Big up, Vix. I loved Carrick when he was an unreal player. Carrick was an absolute unreal player. And one thing about Carrick, which I want to bring into the show, he stood up for a penalty in the Champions League final. You know, he's an absolute mentality monster. He stood up and he took responsibility. He won Champions League, he won league titles. So I always have a soft spot for Michael Carrick. I've actually witnessed Michael Carrick playing, you know, and a very, very good player. Very good player. And one thing about Michael Carrick, on the pitch, he had a brain. He was the brains of the team. He didn't have bursting pace. He weren't going to jump in for challenges, but he knew how to position himself. It's a bit like Teddy Sheringham in the midfield, if you know what I mean. He had he just had this free passes ahead kind of thing that, you know what I mean, just went on and stuff. Absolutely. I don't think Box can name 9 players, Bobby, let alone talk about getting 9 players. So let him be. Stephanie Maguire, United need 2 players for every position, just like the top 5 or 6 clubs have done. Look at City, Arsenal, and Liverpool. Then they just buy, what's that? Sorry, my screen is a bit. They just buy everyone. Absolutely. Look, what we have to understand, of course, Man United need a lot of players. You know, it's not going to happen. We know that as much as we should have it. We should. But it's not going to happen. Guys, we ain't even decided what our manager is yet, for crying out loud. Do you know what I mean? And let's say that for argument's sake, let's play devil's advocate here. If Michael Carrick doesn't get the job, how long are they going to take to employ another manager? Do you know what I mean? At the end of the day, you know? We played poor against West Ham and Everton. And to be fair, Fulham as well, mate. Fulham as well. Guys, absolutely. Morning, Sal. Big up. I do have reservations with Carrick. You have to. You have to. Of course you do. Of course you do. Those same people who call out realistic fans being negative are the same ones who will call out players and managers all kinds of names after a loss. Exactly. Reactionary fans without proper footballing experience. Exactly, Tyborg. If Michael Carrick loses these next 3 games, God forbid we don't lose the next 3. Let's say Michael Carrick loses the next 3 games, right? I'm not going to call out Michael Carrick. Yeah, he's this, he's that, he's that. I'm never going to do that. And I wouldn't do that with Amorim. I wouldn't do that with Ten Hag. I wouldn't do that with anyone at the end of the day. So what I would say is this, right? These overreactionary emotional fans are the ones that, you know, are the problem, because we have to always stay level-headed here. You know, results is a good character. Getting results when you're playing badly is the old cliche, isn't it? When your results and playing badly. But obviously you can't do that every single game. And that's one thing I'm analysing. I want to see us playing great football. But at the same time, I am looking at Carrick and thinking, well, it's only 6 games. You know what I mean? He hasn't had time to implement his style. He ain't got any of his players and things like that. Do you know what I mean? So we have to look at that like that as well. And you know, opinion is more than just one side, one like aspect, if you know what I mean. Some people have one side and they're extreme in this, and the other side they're extreme in this. I'm extreme in this opinion. I'm extreme in that opinion. I'm right down the middle, and I take into account everything, you know, at the end of the day. And I think most people do, who have a brain, you know what I mean, at the end of the day, you know. And I would love Michael Carrick to become a legend. Look, because at the end of the day, I do look at things like this. Zinedine Zidane, Pep Guardiola, right? These people right there, ex-players became good managers. Ex-players became good managers. Do you know what I mean? So why can't Carrick be the Pep Guardiola? Why can't he be? Why not? You know, and obviously no one knows if he will or not, you know, but why can't he be, you know, at the end of the day? Because you could look at Luis Enrique and say, well, he went to Lazio. Because I know a lot of people will say, well, Carrick went to Middlesbrough and got sacked. Well, Luis Enrique went to Lazio and didn't do that well, to be honest with you, at the end of the day. You know, so it does depend on what football club you're at and the right environment and stuff like that, you know. So analysing football in many ways and having a proper conversation about it, about everything about the game, you know, because it's not just the manager. There are some players in our team that shouldn't be playing for our team. And I've said it for years now, to be honest with you. Some of them a decade, you know what I mean, at the end of the day. Years, do you know what I mean? Absolutely. Sorry, Stephen. Apologies, mate. Sorry, man. My eyes are deceiving me. So, Stephen Maguire, I know you, mate. Sorry, I keep thinking of my cousin, Stephanie. Sorry. Big up, Stephen. Doesn't matter these days, is it? Absolutely. Big up Stephen, by the way. Stephen's a legend, by the way. Don't forget about Stephen. It's all about Stephen. Big up, Steve. We don't need 9 players. We need about 5 players. We do need 9 players, Vix. Don't go on that low-in expectation level. We are losing Casemiro. We're going to lose Rasmus, Sancho. Who's the other one we're going to lose? Rashford, Sancho. We're losing straight away. Casemiro, we're losing. Of course, we may lose Maguire as well. That's another one. Ugarte might be out the door. Mason Mount might be out the door because he's not playing as well. There's news about Licha Martinez as well, going out the door as well. You know what I mean? All these things. Buy in there, Onana. We need a lot more than 5 players, mate, if we're playing in the Champions League. Viz, sorry, man. Don't lower expectation for those frauds, the Glazers, mate, and Ineos. You know, don't lower expectations. We need a lot more than that, you know. Mark Goldbridge said Michael Carrick was very similar to Martin Zubimendi as a footballer. Not really, kind of. But Michael Carrick was more of a calm, assured player. I don't know. I mean, I don't know anyone who's seen Michael Carrick play. I've seen Michael Carrick play. I watched his whole career since West Ham, Tottenham, and obviously Man United. A very assured player. A very upstairs is very clever, very clever. I would liken him to more of how would I say it? Kind of a Rodri with a little bit more attacking flores, a kind of that sort of player. If Michael Carrick was around now, he'd be over 100 million. But definitely Zubimendi's kind of that sort of player, of course. Absolutely. The new fans don't know football. I've been a fan Man United. If you say Man U, you ain't know about Man United. Sorry, man. Never say Man U, just to let you know. If you've been a fan 39 years, you should know that, my friend. Guys, it's Manchester United, Man United, MUFC. All right, just to let you know. If you know, you know. Just to let you know. Carrick, at the end of the season, if we won 8 games out of 10, I will believe him. What Carrick like at the end of the season? Yes, I will see what exactly that is. Yes. I think it's very smart to analyze it at the end of the season. It's very smart to analyze everything, not now, because it's too soon. I know we're excited. I know people get excited, but we have to be smart. Big up Ephraim, smash the likes and subscribe, guys. Thank you so much, guys. Let's get to 50 likes. Can we do that? If you haven't smashed the like, guys, what are you doing? Big up our man. Hope you're doing well. Hope you're good. Long time. Hope you're blessed. Good to see you, mate. Hope everything is fine with you, my friend. Absolutely. Realistic criticism these days, what we're missing these days, not just in football. I loved Amorim, but I did acknowledge he did make mistakes. Manage his team. This doesn't make me a hater, just realistic. The difference with Ruben Amorim and in regards to managing this team, it wasn't that, because the hate was misjudged. That was the way the hate was, because people were looking at Amorim and looking at him thinking that, you know what, he didn't get the window. They brought in a manager with distinctive style of play and didn't back him with distinctive style of players. And I think people forgot about that. That's the thing. You know, at the end of the day, if they brought in a manager with his style of football, they needed to back him with his style of players. This is why I would not criticize Amorim extremely. I will put it on the board. It was not about Amorim. And people like you, Chaibi, were attacking Amorim. And I was trying to explain, it's the board. It's the board. It's them. They brought him in. They're the ones who should be to blame, because they brought him in with that style of play and they didn't back him with the style of players that he needed. And that is why I have the argument with it that, you can't really blame him, because at the end of the day, that's all exempt is from, he's not exempt from all blame. Of course not. He got us 3 points from fourth, weren't doing too badly, set up a good line for Carrick, but at the end of the day, we're starting to get better. Not many people could understand the football game that we were starting to get better. People look at football very simplistically. But what I would say is that XG would prove that as well. So what I would say is that the board did not back him to the levels that they should have backed him. This is why I took a lot of the blame from him, because of the distinctive style of play. We're playing with bloody Luke Shaw and players like that. Do you know what I mean? And in a wing back system, and that is his system, at the end of the day. And they shouldn't have brought him in. It was the board to blame. And that's what I would say. Ramadan Mubarak to you too, man. Take it easy, my friend. Enjoy it, my friend. Sal, the people who say give Carrick the job after 6 games is mad. We need to see. We need to see at the end of the season. Let's wait and see. I hope he does well, guys. Absolutely. When Ruben was playing football, I was getting very depressed watching them play. 3 points on fourth weren't that bad, mate. Second, third in XG and stuff like that. Guys, absolutely. Wilcox was the problem, not Amorim. Exactly that, Robert. And people keep talking about Ruben Amorim. It's getting on my nerves, to be honest with you. Like, Ruben Amorim was changing the mentality at the football club. I know a lot of people look at football like, I kick ball in net. That is my idea of football. That is what people's idea of football is. It's the man them millions opinion, innit? So what I would say is that, at the end of the day, you could see the improvement. You could see the XGs changing. You could see we're third in chances created, goals and stuff like that. So at the end of the day, you can see it. You can see it happening. But not many people wanted to analyze that. Some people say they've been watching football 39 years, but don't understand Man U, even to talk about these things, you know what I mean? LT, with Slow the board, I don't see them deciding on a manager getting enough players in the summer, also considering the World Cup would juice time. About absolutely, LT, spot on. Yeah, the idea is, you know what I mean? The idea of people thinking that we're going to go out there and sign 9, 10 players, you must be living in a cloud 9. You must be living in another hemisphere, because the World Cup, players leave 2 weeks before the World Cup. Players come back 2 to 3 weeks after the World Cup. We still haven't decided on a manager. It's going to be, you know what I mean? Tybo, agree 100%, Sal. You bring a guy with a style of play football, instead of supporting him, you ask him to change, because exactly that. Exactly that. Exactly that, Tyborg. And this is what annoys me, and people still mention Amorim and they still about, they're depressed. Or whatever Amorim was. At the end of the day, let's talk about it. You know what I mean? Look, guys, I don't just talk about being a Man United fan for 39 years. I actually was a Man United fan for 40 years. I actually have been. I can actually show you pictures. Shouldn't it be me who's being judgmental on Amorim and about the results and that? Because I've seen 13 titles. Shouldn't it be me? You know what I mean? Who's doing that? But I understood the context. You see, I understood the context, what was going on at that time. It's the past now. It is what it is, and we move on. Right? That's it. And I know that there are a lot of people who are so obsessed with Amorim. They still mention him. He's not our manager anymore. He's gone. It's about Carrick now. It's about the future. And, I wish Amorim all the best. I am a little bit disappointed Amorim hasn't come out and said anything. Probably got a veto or something. I don't know. But, yeah, look, there's people just keep mentioning him and mentioning him and mentioning him. When what he did good. No matter what manager, whether it's Erik ten Hag, whether it's Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, whether it's Jose Mourinho, I want to see what he did good. And what he did good was trying to remove that toxic nature at Man United. And he did pave the way, a much clearer path for Michael Carrick, because all the toxicity at that football club, do you know what I mean? At the end of the day, he did want Cunha, he did want Ibrahim, you know, at the end of the day. So, you know, we look at the positives, we remember it, and we say thank you and be appreciated. In life in general, be grateful. And that's all I would say is thank you, Amorim. Move on. Best of luck in your future endeavors. We move on to Carrick. Let's see what Carrick can bring. Let's see what is different from Carrick to Amorim. What is different from Carrick to Ole Gunnar Solskjaer? What's different? What does Carrick have to offer? What's he good at? You know, and that's what I want to see. What's Carrick good at? What is he good at? Because as far as I'm aware, he was Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's assistant, and I want to see, you know, something different to Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. I don't want to see this go in the same direction, you know, where these players lose a game and stuff like that. It's all about Carrick now. And if they give Carrick the job, back him with the players he wants, with his style of play he wants, back him. And I'll say I have the same energy with everyone, Tyborg. You know, I have the same energy with any manager walks in. They have to back him to the levels that they're going to back a Nagelsmann. They're going to back a Tuchel. They're going to back a Luis Enrique. You know what I mean? Not just bring him in and not buy him a couple of players. We're just going to be here in a year's time. Trust me. You know what I mean? Especially with Champions League. You know, big up Tyborg, legend. I agree, Sal. We do not have do not leave Amorim alone. He did many things for the club. I know, absolutely. Do you think we can finish in the top 3 this season? Yes, man, I do. And I said that before it's popular to say that, by the way. I put myself on the line on other streams, guys, and I said this before it was popular to say it. I said that Man United will get in the top 3, top 2, 3. Ben Jacobs said United are spending big in the summer. We will see. I've heard a lot of things about what Man United are going to do for many, many years under the Glazers. Man United are going to do this. Man United are going to that. As far as I'm aware, last week we got only 170 million to spend. That was the narrative a few days ago, wasn't it? You know, I don't like buzzwords. I don't like, you know, sound bites. I don't like any of this stuff. And Ben Jacobs was a friend of the show, by the way. He's been on the channel twice. I just don't like sound bites anymore. I don't want to hear it anymore about how much we're going to spend. Because at the end of the day, actions speak louder than words for me. Actions speak louder than words for me. Go out there and do it. Do the business. Go out there and make it happen. You know what I mean? You know? We're getting lucky at bloody hell. Can you imagine, Nicky? Bloody hell. Goodness me. We'd be the amount of players that we're losing in the summer as well. You know what? We'll be out the first round in Champions League. Hey, Sal, big up, my friend. Good to see you, Amal. Hope you're doing well, my friend. Hey, big up, Sinead. How you doing, my friend? Hope you're doing well. Good to see Sinead back in the house. Guys, absolutely. Guy talks so much, he doesn't say anything sometimes. I wonder how he is respected. Tyborg, he's been on the channel. Let's give him respect. He does know his stuff. He does. Ben Jacobs is one of the better journalists. He's been on the channel twice. He's a friend of mine, and yeah, let's not do that. Let's not do that. He's a decent journalist. He doesn't get everything right, but who does? I don't get everything right. Fabrizio Romano doesn't get everything right. You know, he's all right. He's all right. He's all right. Right. It's Carrick. You know, it's Carrick. We'll play a specific style you need to support the manager. The board was half-hearted. That's why they would prefer Carrick future. I agree. Absolutely. Morning, Sal. These big up United for life. How you doing, my friend? These players that we have on our wish list, most of them are going to the World Cup, and if they perform good, the price will increase. Absolutely, mate. This is why we should have used the January transfer window to do the groundwork and to get things done. But again, it's going to be difficult, but that's life. They're getting 100 million from the Champions League. Go out there and buy some players. If not, they have to use their imagination and skills to find good players. You know what I mean? I could scout for them if they want. If they want me to go out there and scout some players for them, I will scout some players for them. Absolutely. No doubt about it. That's it, guys. Tybo, in the eyes of the owners, backing means 200 million in the summer, where in reality, we need a Liverpool and investor at least 500. The fact is, Tybo, we're going to be saving about 500 million. When you look at the wages, when you look at the transfers, Casemiro, right, Rasmus, Sancho, Rashford, all these players, Anthony, saving a lot of money. You know, that's saving that much money, you know, and then they're going to act like they spent that money when they didn't. They didn't spend a penny. This is the thing with them. They're going to try and manipulate the masses, you know? That's the problem at the end of the day. Amal, you know the party line of the Manchester United we are going to spend in January, we are going to spend in the summer. I'll believe it when I see it. Exactly that. You know, journalists can only say what they've been told. And that's one thing I've learned, right? I've learned that from journalists that I know. Journalists can only say what they've been told, guys. And of course, Ineos and the Glazers are going to plant a seed and tell the journalists to say this, we're going to do this, we're going to do that. Of course, the journalists are going to have to take the word of Ineos and the Glazers to the gospel, to fact, you know what I mean, at the end of the day, you know? And guys, I would say. But I like Ben Jacobs. He's a good friend of mine, friend of the show, good journalist. But again, they can only say what they've been told, you know, and they're not always going to get it right. Let me just message my wife. 1 second. There we go. There we go. 1 second. All right. That's it's not their fault that the Glazers plant seeds, you know? That's one thing I would say about that, of course. LT. It's a pity that every week after every good result, it's about how Carrick has changed their lives and how Amorim was. Guys, all I would say to you, LT, is look at the interviews about Amorim and things like that. You know, I don't really care what these players want anymore. I don't care what they think. I don't care how they feel. Honestly, I'll be honest, LT. Just win football matches. You know what? I'm going to be harsh here. Win football matches. Shut up. That's it. Because at the end of the day, some of these players have sacked so many managers. I'm not interested in what they have to say. Just bloody win football matches and bring Man United up that league. That's all I can say. You know, to be honest, I know it's announced already, but it wouldn't surprise me if there is a U-turn cash situation. I mean, yeah, because of the amount of work. I wouldn't be surprised as well, Tybo. Because of the amount of work that he's doing in the summer, they might think, you know what, we might have to keep Casemiro. You know, there you go. Amal, because if they spend a whole transfer window on a signed player, they can use the club and are dealing with. They're going to have all sorts of excuses, man. All sorts of it. Don't worry about that. You're going to hear about it. Big up Sal. Big up Noah. How you doing, my friend? Hope you're doing well. Good to see you. Big up Sinead. If they are on loan, they are in. What's that? Who's that? If they are on loan, they in. Who's that? What do you mean by that, Sinead? Sorry, Sinead. I might sound like a dum-dum, but I don't quite get it. So I can't remember 5 minutes ago. So at the end of the day, sometimes. So they will make an excuse by searching for manager and they do not buy him. Yeah, I know, man. Absolutely. So how many points do you think Man United will get at the end of the season? We're going to win every single game, Beef Bully. Every game we're going to win, and we're going to get in the top 2. Bum, 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 bum. That's what's going to happen. Absolutely. You see what I think? I'm not going to move away from my vibe. You know what I mean? From my vibe. Some of these players are betraying this club and the Faris fans for many years. And in the ideal world, guys, look, keep their mouth shut or partly to blame for them. Yeah, look, at the end of the day, Tybo, just look at Luke Shaw's situation. People are trying to tell me that every single time there's a major tournament going to happen, Luke Shaw miraculously gets fit. I want to know he's witch doctor because miraculously he's fit. You know what I mean? He's a manipulator. They're liars. They're liars. They're liars. The budget Man United are going to have, which is every season, is 200 million, right? They're going to make 200 million from signings anyway, right? So they're going to make that back. They need to spend net 500 million. That's how much needs to be spent on this team, especially if we're losing the players that we're losing, especially if we're in the Champions League and we're going to be playing 2 games a week, every single week. You know, it's just so worrying, isn't it? You know, what place do you think will finish next season? First, our man. So we both know that we won't we don't want Martinez as a new manager. I hope it's fake news. No, if it is fake news, I do know that Man United are in touch with him. It's definitely not fake news. We are aware of Martinez. We are. I don't think Ben Jacobs would say that if we weren't. It is something that Ineos would do, Noah. It's something that they would do. Absolutely. Big up SLD. Big up yourself. Guys, thank you so much for joining me. I really appreciate everyone who's in the stream, guys. Don't forget to smash the like on the way out. Subscribe to the channel if you're new, guys. And also, guys, don't forget to put your notifications on. And, guys, don't forget don't forget to watch the match preview at 3 p.m. UK time, guys. If you could watch that tonight, go and smash the lights. Let me know your predictions and stuff like that, guys, on that show, guys. 3 p.m. UK time. Don't forget to join me for that, guys. Thank you so much for joining me, you absolute legends. I'll see you later on. I'll be on Judge Mo's channel later on as well, guys. Later on tonight, 5 p.m. UK time, so you can join me for that as well, guys. Have a good day, you absolute legends. Thank you, Amal. Have a good day, Tyborg. Have a good day, Noah. Have a good day, SLD. Take it easy, guys. I'll see you soon. Peace.